Alrighty. Well, welcome to Monday. And you know what Monday means? Monday means that it is time for Session 0, the increasingly inaccurately named D&D show, where we spend our time building characters, doing the setup for campaigns, and sometime in the next couple of weeks, actually playing Dungeons and Dragons. Today is our last character rolling session, and we will have with us Arlene, who is waiting in the wings, so I won't sit on our loading screen for very long. I will jump straight in to our single player discussion. Welcome to Session 0 officially, Arlene.
Hello. Hello, Twitch. Arlene, I go by Firefox as well. Do you want to do that? Oh, my camera is not... It's a grey box. Should I fix that?
Yep, so if you want to just bring yourself live up, see if that'll come up.
Okay. Let me see. Video. Turn on camera.
There's the two little blue dots. That's a good start. That normally sits there for a while, and we either get video or we don't. Which is variable. Like, this is something that we're still sort of working through. So if that doesn't come up, that's fine. It will soon. I know Kitty, who will be joining us to be that third head. So when we're talking, you and I can talk about the planning, and then when you need to be doing D&D planning, I can be jumping over to Kitty's. So let's... There we go. I can see you. Welcome. Lovely to have you aboard.
For some reason, my face would just appear and I wouldn't actually have to turn on it. Didn't really give it a thought.
I love that frog in the background. Is that your work?
Yeah, kind of. So we went, it was a birthday party and everybody painted the same frog. So there was like a teacher.
Oh, nice.
So, yes, but no.
Nice. I've never really tried hard enough to do even that. So I'm always impressed when I can see people that can make things look like the things they're supposed to look like. So my skills are somewhere else, not sure where. All right. So, hey, Dinra, how you doing? I'll drop and talk to our chat whenever I can. So part of what we're trying to do with this stream and with this game is to engage thank you very much, engage our chat as much as we can. You'll notice that since our last session, I think, I've now affiliate, so I could play around with channel points and all that funky stuff. I've no idea what I'm doing, but there are some community goals and some specific channel point goals in there, which will give our chat the chance to make NPCs and to have a bit of say in the story. So Firefox, the idea there is you can take on or ignore those things to your heart's content. As the DM, I will try and honour that wherever I can, so long as it is appropriate and fits the narrative that we're going for.
Okay.
Awesome.
Alright, well I need this.
Sorry? Oh, you shouldn't actually need it, because on D&D Beyond, I don't know if you've used it before, all of that is there. So I've purchased a number of the books digitally. So as you go through the character creator, most of that should be done on the system, which makes it so much easier that I always think I'm missing something.
Do I need dice?
You can have dice, but we can also roll that on the computer. It can also do the rolls for you. I tend to roll the dice and then write them in, because rolling dice is just the thing. It's like, I like my little, my math rocks. Oh, I forgot that the music was still on. So we might bring the music down now.
Makes sense. It's
And
not food.
Let's get into that. I will bring up our Discord. Been over a month getting used to a 3-screen setup and what should be where. So apologies as always if I'm looking all over the place. Do you have the D&D Beyond up on a screen there?
I do.
Fantastic. And you would be on the first page at this stage, I imagine?
The home page, so before race and class.
Excellent. I can see your character there. So I'm going to click view, and it should come up on the stream if it works this time. We missed something with Sasha and didn't have it work. So what I'll get you to do now is choose what you're doing and go to the next screen and see if that comes up, which I think should be race.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there a fairy doggo that I just saw walk through in the background?
Yes. Come
Oh,
on, baby.
yes.
Excuse me,
Always pause for the aminals.
Say hi.
Oh, hello. So cute. Bit camera shy today.
Mm. Oh no,
Oh,
she's just she sees my dinner, so she's like, oh, food.
of course.
She can have a piece.
Oh, she's
Okay.
lovely.
Have a big piece. And it's autumn. She will not be playing today. Can you come off, please?
But I do know that we organised that we had a pet-friendly campaign specifically because of the dog. Now, what's your dog's name again?
Autumn.
Autumn. Fantastic.
Yeah. Autumn, Mama.
Alrighty, I'm going to jump into the character
Alright,
creation
so-
there and see what we've got. So what'll happen is every time... No, it's not ready yet, so you'll need to go to the next level. Ah, there we go. We've got Kitty dropping in, so I will drop out. Kitty, your camera works straight away this time. Oh, no, for a moment. Oh, drop that one back in. Alright, so... are you on race? What are you thinking for character race? Have you had...
I was thinking a gnome, so a rock gnome.
Awesome! Oh, I love it. Have you played a gnome before?
I played one session of a gnome. It was mostly just like a talking scene though, so I haven't really got to explore what a gnome really does.
Awesome. I love the idea of a gnome. I've never DM'd a gnome and I've never played a gnome, so I am excited. So if you want to select that, select your rock gnome, and I'll see if it jumps off to the next one. Nope.
Okay. Forest rock, I'm gonna go with rock. So I've got +2 intelligence, start vision, and gnome cunning.
Fantastic. And that will automatically upload that.
Press your face.
I think it's come through. There it is. We'll change from milestone to... actually, I'll just do that there. I'm going to change us on feats, multi-class requirements, less scale, encumbrance, coin weight, XP. We'll essentially run the same XP for everyone pretty much, but which is like milestone, but I just like having the milestone. Hey, Kitty, are you with us? Nope. All right. Tell us next, what are you thinking for class?
Hold on. Get my sheet that I have. I was thinking maybe a rogue.
Druid, did
With
you...
an inventor. A rogue.
Oh, rogue. Lovely.
Yeah, with an inventor's background.
Nice. That sounds awesome. All right, so if you want to jump in and add those as you make your decisions. Again, I'm not holding this to anyone up until we start doing our initial sessions. So if you suddenly feel like you want to change, go ahead. Giggle Fairy, welcome to the chat. Welcome to session 0. So a gnome rogue. Now, Giggle Fairy, I'm not sure if you saw the other week when you were checking in from work, always has some great insights and ideas and sort of spins what we're talking about in a cool way. So I'm looking forward to it. You've created an expectation, Giggle Fairy. Let's see what you got for us tonight.
Hello, Giggle.
Okay, so I'll just keep refreshing this as it goes through. I'm sure there are better ways to do it than the way we're doing it here with me refreshing, but I'm not good enough at this yet to work out what they are.
Okay,
Okay,
you could have just come on with it already finished.
Yeah, but the whole idea for me with this, and one of the things I always wanted to do, was you never see a stream of D&D where they go through and they do this stuff.
Oh. Also, I don't know if you know, like, the thing on the camera is kind of weird. It's showing the entire Discord stream.
Yeah, that's because when somebody's jumping in and out, I've just got a quick fix. So when we suddenly get 3, because of the way you've got to snip specific pictures from the third screen, when a third one jumps in, I'll show you. It sort of does that. It'll come up in a second. I forget about the delay. So essentially when we've got people dropping in and dropping out because of issues, I just pop that up there. There we go. There's an example. I just pop that up there because my picture can't work. And until Kitty's is running, the 3 of us won't show up there properly. There we go. So now, Kitty, how are we doing? Can't hear you. I can see you this time, but I can't hear you. Still no.
Security professional is my favorite concept. Basically, take the idea that they have all the skills of a group, but for totally legitimate, lawful reasons. Sounds good. Shall we just run with that?
That is awesome.
Shall we run with it?
Let's do it. Okay, so your proficiencies and expertise, have you chosen those there, or are we going to leave those for later?
I haven't. Okay, so proficiencies. I'm gonna choose persuasion. I don't know. Are gnomes normally very persuasive? I don't think so. Let's go with deception. Oh, but we're playing a lawful good kind of character, aren't we?
No, just nothing evil. So if you want to go neutral or go like a chaotic one, that's all good too.
Well, I think Giga would like us to do a lawful good kind of build. It sounds like it.
Excellent. I think that would be cool because that wouldn't match exactly with our others. We've got Glamour Bard Tiefling, who will be chaotic of some description, I imagine. We've got a human fighter who will be good, but I imagine, but not necessarily lawful.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I've chosen insight, investigation, perception, and persuasion.
That sounds gnomey to me.
Expertise. I'm gonna say thieves' tools, even though it's not going to be used for stealing.
Excellent.
Sense.
Perfect.
You guys hear me at all?
Yes, we've got you.
Oh my god, stuff is just... Hang on. Still going wrong. One sec.
All good.
Okay. Root expertise. Thieves' tools and maybe... Let's go with insight again. So sneak attack and thieves can't. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Alright, cool.
Yeah,
Let's move on with that.
Sounds good. We've got you on sound there, Kitty.
Still working.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh my god, I'm so sick of Discord stuff just not working at all.
Yeah, I wonder if we might need to think of popping into Zoom or something else and trying a different system.
Yeah, maybe, because it's just not, like, none of my gear is working with Discord. Yeah. I don't know what the problem is, but it's really frustrating.
So I think
anyway,
over the next week we might play around with that and see if we can find a more efficient way to do it, because I'm sure there is one. So, Kitty, meet Firefox. Firefox, meet Kitty.
Hello.
So, Kitty, we're up to our class stuff at the moment. We're just finishing that. So, Kitty, tell us where we're at now. No, not Kitty, sorry. Arlene, tell us where we're at now.
Alright, so we're on to abilities. We have... Do I want to choose standard array, manual, or point by?
I would go manual/rolled.
Okay.
And you'll notice on manual rolled, it will come up looking like that. If you press the roll buttons, you'll have dice show up on your screen and roll. They'll roll 4d6 and take the top 3. So if they're absolutely terrible by the end of those rolls, we'll just do it again, because everybody else has eventually rolled really, really well, and unless you particularly want to be less skilled, we probably want to have us all on a similar page. So if you want to roll your first one, now setup wise, a rock gnome gets bonuses to, let's have a look, +2 to intelligence and +1 to constitution. Oh, there they are. They've come through. That was really
Okay, so I have a 9, 2 11s, 13, 14, and a 17.
Excellent. Are you happy with those, or do you want to roll another one and see?
No, we're good.
We're good with that? Fantastic.
Yeah.
Where
so intelligence, I'm going to go with 17.
Uh-huh.
Constitution, I'll put it probably an 11. Got strength, dexterity, wisdom, and charisma.
Mm-hmm. Now,
Maybe
what's a rogue's main area? That's It's Dex, isn't it, for a rogue?
Maybe.
I can never remember. Rogue. Quick build. Dexterity should be your highest ability score. Intelligence next highest if you want to excel at investigation. Charisma if you plan to be deceptive and social.
Right.
So-
Giggle Fairy says Dex should be high.
Yeah.
So let's put 14 with Dex.
Excellent. So we
He says.
so we got a
strength is
super smart gnome. I love that.
Are gnomes strong? I mean they're kind of small, so I don't think in relation to other races they would be very strong.
No, but
Says
I
strength on that.
I always think of gnomes as really strong for their size. I don't know if that's just something I take off halfling and I always interchange them, or...
I think I've set them, so I'm gonna apply my ability scores.
Excellent. I'll refresh that for us. Okay, there we go. So we've got Charisma and Con at 11, Strength at 9, Dex, Wiz, and Intelligence there.
Okay, and then score calculation.
Okay, so Wisdom and Charisma have worked, but the others haven't on my screen yet, so... Strength. Dex. Just reapply those quickly. Alright, so looking at that, intelligence of 19 for a gnome. So this is a super smart gnome.
Mm-hmm.
But you were saying not...
Too smart?
No, your character. I'm cool with anything.
Okay.
What's the story that you're thinking for this character? So you were saying a rogue, but only in skills, not actually like the archetypical sneaky bad rogue.
Yeah, I was kind of going just off Giggle Fairy's idea. I didn't really think too much into it.
Nice.
So, maybe he used to work for the king, for the vaults of the king, but then there was a break-in and the robbers were successful, so I got fired. So now this is my new gig.
Excellent. All right, I'll have a look around the city that we're starting in, which will likely be this one here. When it comes up. Ta-da! Will probably be that one there. So I know we've got some security stuff here and here and here, and here and here and here. This is sort of the richer district from memory. And so I'll set up a specifically appropriate place in that area that will really suit that. So as you develop, if you have ideas, just shoot me through messages and I will adjust our introduction and our idea.
Cool. Alright.
All right, so strength, not so strong, but again, I always forget how small gnomes are I always think halfling, because the only gnome that I remember is Fungal the Gnoll was a book that I read when I was a kid, which is sort of like a Death of the Wilds kind of thing, where the gnoll had to run into the city and deal with the city when it had never seen a city before. And even though it's not quite a gnome, that idea has always informed my idea of what a gnome is. So I'm super excited to be DMing for a gnome. This is like a gift for me. So we've got our ability scores. Let's see where we go from here in our description. Hey, 98 Miles, how we doing? So have you thought of a name yet?
I was gonna kind of be just silly and go with Garden because Garden Gnome, but let's get a proper name.
That's cool.
Alright, chat, pick a name for me. Okay, do we have like a list of names of gnomes?
I think there was in the gnomes.
Page 35, hold on. Page 35. No names. Okay, so let's go with, do we want male or female?
You're cool.
Twitch, pick,
Oh, I've never done this before.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to like interact with the chat because apparently that's good for Twitch. But
Wait, interaction is good.
We're
What?
learning so much here. I can now do a poll. So hold on. I'm going to create a new poll. I've never done this before. What? Are we going gender? What gender
Important though?
should? No, it doesn't matter at all. But let's play with it. What gender should Firefox's gnome be? Male.
Firefox, if anybody doesn't know.
Female. They've only given me 5 options. So how am I going to fill the others?
Uh,
I mean,
goblin.
okay, I don't see the poll coming up, but Goblin is a race. Alright, Giggle Fairy says the surname should be Twist Bonk, and I love it. Let's do that.
Okay, I'm gonna oversimplify this and just go male, female, other for the minute. I know because 5 is not enough to do it properly, so I either have to pick and choose or I have to just oversimplify. So there's our poll. It won't last for very long, so I don't know what I'm doing. Twist Bonk is cool. I love that.
Alright, so far it's at 1 vote for female. Looks like it goes for like a minute.
Yeah, I think it goes for about a minute, but look at the little liney thing that's coming up here. This is literally the first time I've done a poll, so thank you.
I mean, I've been streaming for like 2 months and I haven't done a poll. So these what it is.
I've had to cut out my Wednesday gaming stream day because I need at least a day that I can spend with the wife, and I need time off stream to learn how to do all this stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Anyway, as the poll
Giggle
comes,
Fairy has contributed 380 of channel points to help us with our
fantastic.
first quest giver challenge. Cool. Alright,
Okay.
so I'm gonna go. Female gnome. I've never seen a female gnome in media, so just
So-
gnome without a beard.
Female wins with 1 vote. So congratulations, whoever voted. You got to choose.
Democracy. Okay, names. We have. I'm not gonna say that first one because it sounds stupid. Alright, I'm gonna say it anyway. Bimp Notten. Let's not do that. It's too hard to say. What was my surname? Twistball. Let's find a T one.
Oh, bit of alliteration. I love it.
Tana. There's only a Tana or Tana. Tana Twistball?
That is awesome. Now that name instantly makes me think of the old World of Warcraft Tinker Gnomes that have just come out. So,
Do I insert that somewhere?
if you go up the top there, you'll see next to the little silhouette, there's character name, and it says Firefox Ice's character. So just whoop what you want in there.
Do you see my dog's being head?
All good. All right.
That's hi. I'm here though.
And how are you traveling, Kitty?
Oh, hey, I'm good. Just listening and doing a little bit of note taking and sketching while
Fantastic.
listening.
So one of the reasons that we've got Kitty on tonight is we're going to go a little bit more into, if you were here when we rolled Kitty's characters, we gave an entire settlement to Kitty for her character's backstory, and I've said yours play with. So we're going to have to talk through a little bit of that and sort of work out what it's going to look like. 1, so I know, but 2, so we can make sure that Kitty's got freedom to just absolutely mess with that stuff because yay.
Yeah. Also, it's fun to discuss these things anyway and develop world building ideas. So
100%.
Yeah.
That should
I
be
think
awesome.
it's pretty cool.
That's great.
But
All right.
yeah.
So that will be where we go once we've run Firefox through her setup. So we've got a bit of press reset because I haven't done that in a while. We've got name up and ready. Let's see it in its glory. Thank you again, as Eileen said, Giggle Fairy, for your contribution to build our first ever Quest Giver challenge. As this loads up, we are 11% there. We've got 2,810 channel points raised out of 25,000. So keep them coming. If that was an unrealistic number and I have to bring it down, I will. But I'm going to try and keep it just on a bit of a challenge so it runs right up to the beginning there. And we'll run a short stream where anybody who comes into the chat that day will get a say in the NPC that sends us off on some of our quests right at the beginning. So we've got Tana Twistbonk, a beautiful gnomey sounding name. I'm a fan. And you said, what was the background that you said, Firefox?
I'm an inventor.
An inventor.
So I have root skills, and basically I am a gnome who used to work for royalty. I used to guard their vaults and stuff, but then there was a successful break-in, so I lost my job, and here I am.
That will be fun. I can see that. I'm already thinking about which characters we can do backstory sessions with, and I think Anthony's podunk fighter, who's super strong, said he got into some ill-begotten behaviour, so there might be a link there. So we'll play with that one. But again, any ideas on that from you folks or from the chat, get them in. All right, so if you want to fill in that, if you haven't already, and then we'll pop back on to character details and so on and so forth. So any of these that you're not certain of and you want to play around with, we can just skip.
Let's see. Starting equipment. Do I want to be bothered with that? Add personal possessions and items.
No, I would play with that.
Anything?
I would play with that at your own pace if you like. I would focus back on the description page on number 4. The option, your choice for background hasn't come up yet.
Alignment. So I'm gonna go lawful good because it's what it sounds like. Faith. Probably leave that blank.
That sounds good.
Lifestyle. So is this the lifestyle? Is it like a starting cash?
That'll be a starting cash. If you were working for the King's Treasury, I would give yourself at least comfortable or wealthy. Your call.
No. Let's let Kitty vote. Or chat.
Alright, there we go. Kitty in chat. Here are your options. Wretched. Just straight in the chat this time. Wretched, which is no money. Squalid, which is 1 silver piece. And poor, which is 2 silver pieces. So they would be getting dressed, stealing a shower, and coming into work like your respectable kind of thing. Modest would just be your normal, lower districts. Comfortable or wealthy, upper class. Aristocratic, literally, you got this job because you know the king. So Giggle Fairy's calling comfortable. I'm inclined to go the same, either modest, comfortable, or wealthy.
Yeah. I guess it depends on the consequences of your backstory, I guess. Like, I think comfortable, though.
Yeah, let's go with comfortable.
Unless you lost everything.
Yeah, depends on how long since you got fired, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And whether you could find another job.
I've been living off those savings for a while now.
Okay, shall we carry on?
Yep, let's carry on. I reckon there's a lot of jobs around any little town for a tinker gnome who's between jobs. So maybe the reason that you're not in a job is that there's just been so much work since. Now, there's not a specific tinker option in our backgrounds at the moment, so I will set up a custom background for tinker or inventor, because it either means that option isn't a book I haven't purchased for D&D Beyond. Guild Artisan will help for basis, so I'll stick that in for now. And that will give you 2 skills, a proficiency, and an extra language to choose there. Arlene?
But we'll just go with, was it common? And what do gnomes normally speak?
Gnomish, right?
So you'll naturally have Gnomish and Common from your main languages.
Yeah, so that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, but because you are a guild artisan and obviously or a guild merchant, So I'm going to play with this one and change it to be a guild artisan / inventor. So you'll be part of the inventors guild, maybe like conscripted or sent to the king there. So that, and I'll play around with that background of the guild that you see up on the Twitch screen. If you refresh your page, obviously this will all update because I changed it. It will change for you as well. And if you've got anything that you want that you think would work in there, let me know and I'll just adjust it to suit.
I think I've added all that.
That you need.
Oh, there are also skill.
Yeah, you get when you choose your background there, you get those extra skills as well.
Is performance more like more of a bard thing?
It's a charisma based thing, but like we can be pretty flexible with that. So long as it's your charisma, so it might be like making a big show of building the thing where it was a very, very simple thing that you learnt to do from the very beginning. So there's some pageantry to that. It might be that you sort of talk up the background of the idea that you've had. Like that's where I would take performance as a tinker.
I don't see anything in tool proficiencies that really suits me. Maybe carpenter.
Okay, make it carpenter, but like let's just imagine that there's tinker's tools in there. I reckon. So
or smith's tools.
Yeah, make them smith's tools, but
yeah.
Just when you get to the when we get to the end, we can actually adjust that on the character sheet, I think, and we'll change it to tinker's tools, so you can specifically have the tinker's tools. Because I think the was it Tasha's book, the second to latest book, brings the tinker class in. Like brings the art, so I'm sure there'll be new backgrounds that will suit that. And Giggle Fairy says that you've already got Tinker's Tools proficiency, that's why it's not there. Of course, you naturally get Tinker's Tools, so just add that other one. It's fine. I don't know what we do without Giggle Fairy in the chat. Seriously. And Giggle Fairy also says there is a Tinker Guild. So when you're in a guild artisan, you're a member of the Tinkers Guild working for the vaults. So that works perfectly. So if you look at guild membership there.
Yeah. I am an artisan already.
Excellent. So that works.
Proficiencies, I think maybe a gnome with connections to the king would have had an education, therefore maybe history. And then maybe deception because politics.
Ooh, I like it. That's exciting.
Okay.
Just going to write down here, politics.
Languages, well, I mean,
I
guess it's asking for a third language, right?
That's right. If you've been involved in politics in this world, chances are, and I'll leave my notes here, I think, and I'll just bring our world up. So this down here, Sedendria, is the place that we're essentially going to start. And up to the north there is South Point, which is a reasonably small town, but a bit of a hub. The Vendali Empire, many, many years ago, spread all the way up to the top here, which is now the Corsoan Wastes. Your capital, Briad, is largely human. The Sindarai, which historically and ancestrally was the region that you're in, were dwarven in nature. But if you go a little bit north of where you are there through Stormbreak, which is where Kitty's building, into the Lake Gondolmere, there is a settlement there of the ancient elves of the realm who appeared in this place for reasons unknown around 3,750 years ago. So at the top of Lake Thun there is a settlement on the edge of the forest and the edge of the lake called Tsundar. So you could, considering your political alignment there, have learned Elvish or Dwarvish and have a very reasonable justification geographically in your political background.
Let's go with Elvish.
Fantastic. So I will talk with you before we start as well about the history of the elves, and we might get onto history a little bit later in the evening. But the history of elves here, elves were the oldest race, and I know I'm stealing from from lots and lots of IPs when I say elves first, then dwarves, and then people. So elves, I'm going to think not too heavily in the direction of Tolkien elves, I would imagine, for elves and dwarves, although demeanor not necessarily exactly the same. So the elves appeared on Sabile from the Feywild as an exodus from the rift between Lolth and Corellon, so long time ago. But in the larger pantheon, but then found themselves here long before that this realm was locked off from the prime material plane. So elves in this world, in my head, still very, very good artisan-wise in terms of crafting and weaving and using the forest to their advantage. May as well be going with the stereotypes because there's lots of other things we're changing. So your elvish stereotypes and your dwarvish stereotypes around rock craft, stone craft, and higher artisanship for the elves is probably the way I would go until we find a better way to do it. So if that gives you ideas on stuff to play with, go to town. Again, I have no expectation of any of the group as to how far we take roleplay. As we talked before we came on Firefox, I know that there's a lot of people in our game who are much more accomplished DMs and character builders than I am. So I'm going to let them run and we're going to just work with where the group goes. So there's no imperative to do accents and jump into character, but there's definitely the opportunity should you want to go that way. Okay, so let's get back to our character sheet. See what I mean by distraction? It's so fun. There we go. So we've got deception, history, smith's tools. Your language you said was going to be Elvish. Now the character details there, again, faith is something we can play with later as you wish, because we've got our own pantheon in this campaign, which will come up, which I'll talk about when I need to. Physical characteristics, I reckon fill that out as you go along when you're ready, unless there's specific stuff. How do you picture your gnome? How does Tana Twistbonk look?
You know, I don't know. I only have like an idea of what a male gnome looks like. So, and I think gnomes are not very often like represented in media, so I don't see them very often. Don't know. Like I'd have a hard time separating them from a halfling, for example.
Yeah,
They're just like halflings.
I totally get that. The only place that I really get gnomes from is World of Warcraft, and they are very much the stereotypical teeny tiny bald builders of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've only played the, what was it, Taurus, the cow person?
Oh, the Tauren. I love cow people. Which tells me you're definitely a Horde, so I was Alliance, so I could never get into Horde. The great thing about not having a really strong picture about how gnomes fit into this world, though, is we get to make it up. So, yeah. So,
I can just look like that.
Excellent.
Sorted.
Have a think about it from there and extrapolate what you think the gnomes here, because I haven't put a lot of background into gnomes in this world. My idea is that they are Fae. They're Fae adjacent, so they have a lot of connection to the Fae. How that manifests, though, I am very, very happy for you to have a think about and let me know. I will riff with something, but if you've got an idea, let me know and I'll roll into that. So as a gnome yourself, you can build a little bit, as much or as little as you want, that culture and how they're around. I would say there wouldn't be a lot. It's not going to be one of the big three races, which would probably be human, then elvish, and then dwarvish. I think I did have a list of all the races that were here, but it's definitely not exhaustive. Alstar is the larger world that this continent of Vendolin is on. It is possible that your gnome's forebears have come from a different continent. or they could have been native to Vendali, and you can decide what biome that they initially came from. Not that it's going to be relevant necessarily straight away, but it's definitely there. Because it also means that you fit into some of the optional extra sort of role-playing subclasses that we've built for this world, and that is Alstar, which is a being that knows of the greater world, or Vendali, which has a history in the high sort of period of the history of this continent. They're probably the big ones, unless you want to be, if you want to really align with the elvish nature of the realm, then you would be, you could look at Wayfarer, but play with those. I keep saying I'll have those up, and I still haven't written them up because life keeps happening. So I'm now writing a note to do that sooner rather than later. Extra RP class options. So Giggle Fairy gnomes are more like leprechauns almost. I kind of like that idea. All right, so when we get to our pre-sessions and our first sessions, Arlene, you'll be able to tell us a little bit more. And again, you can describe when we first meet your character, you can describe what's important and what we notice, and it can be built as you work it out. Retconning's all good. We can always just go, no, it was always like that. We just remembered it wrong. So don't feel like you've got to nail that down quickly. Personality characteristics, bonds, flaws, ideals, traits. You can choose to roll those traits, or you can make up your own. Is there anything that typifies your character in your mind? Anything about them that makes them them?
I think I would like my character to have like a massive backpack.
A massive backpack.
Lots of like different pockets where he keeps all the things like springs and screwdrivers and things like that.
Fantastic.
It's like a walking workshop. And also maybe things like grappling hooks.
Okay. Remind me to come back to that. I'm going to have a look at how much gold you have once this character creator is done. And I'm going to make sure that I've put enough money in there for you to have built a good toolkit in that backpack. And that would have been purchased by the vault and given to you as part of your job. And when you were fired, well, obviously it was used, so they let you take it. So there'll be that extra thing that you've got, which you'll be able to play with. So I'll just put a note down there, and when we get to the end of your character today, we'll add that. So with equipment,
Hold on. Where is my camera?
Mm-hmm.
That is cool.
I started playing a rock gnome one time, and it was kind of a ridiculous character. Like, he was meant to be like a failed inventor, and so he just makes things that he thinks is useful, but he never fully thinks it through, and it fails. For example, he has these shoes with springs on them because he's short, but he didn't think it fully through, and the springs are like very loosely coiled, so he just goes boing.
So are we talking? Are we talking Inspector Gadget style, where it goes wrong but it still normally works out right, or just?
I haven't seen Inspector Gadget.
That's.
I know of him.
Yeah, that's one of the big things of that character is he's completely clueless, and he'll try to do something, and it will completely fail, and then his daughter and her dog in the background will sort of solve the problem and sort of set it up. So that could do. I'm writing there bumbling inventor. Percentage chance to fail.
Are we gonna go with that? So I guess if I'm this much of a loser and I get a job with the king, I guess it would have been through connections.
Well, I would think that when you're doing what you're told, when you're at work, you follow the book. But when you're in your free time, you have these ideas, these things that are going to make it big. Like, I won't have to work in the vault one day because of this. Oh, well, that didn't work, but I'm not going to give up on it. I'm sure there was something positive in it, kind of thing. So again, as much or as little of that you want to bring it in. I'm not going to have an expectation in the first few levels at least that any of this stuff gets nailed down until you're all ready for it. So seriously, play that to your heart's content. As a DM, if I raise it and you think it's changed, just sort of roll with it and change it and say, well, actually, that was his brother, play with it and change it. Anything to do with your characters, unless it's specifically enshrined in the game side of things, I'm going to let you roll with, and I'll find reasons for it to fit in what we're doing, because that sounds like more fun. I love those images you drop, Giggle Fairy. Especially the top one. That top one to me.
Yeah, I like the top one.
Yeah. I just imagine this big backpack looming over her head in the background and going right down to just above her ankles, running in the front there. I reckon that'd be cool. Alright, let's pop that.
Although I guess I can see those two characters being the same person, just the bottom one is just whilst she was still employed with royalty.
Oh,
and
I like it.
The uniform.
That's cool. Oh, I rate that. Okay, for equipment, number 5. If you choose equipment, it will give you the basic loadout that you get in the character handbook. If you choose gold, you have to roll how much gold you get, and you get to buy literally everything as you go through.
Okay, how do I just roll in person? Shall I just roll gold first?
If you click gold, if you click the bold word gold there, it will bring up a roller for you, and then you can completely ignore it and roll your own dice, because dice are amazing, if you like.
I don't think there is a roller coming up for me.
Is there not? Let me refresh here.
Oh, okay, I see it. So 4d4?
Yep.
Times 10 GB. Okay. 11 times 10 GB, so I have 110 GB, that's a lot. So what was that whole wealthy or comfortable thing about if I'm going to have a roller?
That's just how much monthly or weekly living would cost to maintain that type of thing. And I'm not going to hold you to that unless you want to be held to it.
Okay. Yeah, hold me to it, I guess.
Excellent. So, but again, I won't be good at remembering either, so we're totally going to get around it. And we're not going to be staying in places where you need to do that particularly often either. So 110 gold pieces, play with that. If you need a bit more to fill up the coffers of that giant workstation on your back, you can go up to 180 gold. Stay away from magic items unless they're going to be failed magic items. So we can play around with that with some of the stuff you've created haven't worked that you've still got. If you want some of those, come up with the ideas. And hey, Book God, lovely to have you back. We're talking about Arlene's gnome rogue who doesn't steal stuff. So that's going to be pretty exciting. We've got 2 options. Before she was fired, on the bottom, and since she's been between jobs above. Except you need to imagine, particularly on the top one, a huge voluminous sort of workshop-y backpack, which will be brilliant and definitely sounds like it's going to have it's going to weigh in on that character and how we recognise her. So should be amazing. All right, well, once you've played with those, Arlene, that means that we're probably at the end, and you'll be able to go through to that to the character sheet and start playing with that.
Yep, my gold, and yes, and now we view character sheet, right?
Lily from Dan Machi. That is a new thing to me, so we're going to Google it all together. Like that one there? Oh yeah, look at the big pack on the back.
Oh my goodness. Okay, not quite that big.
That's amazing. Yeah, I imagine that drawing that you've held up before Firefox, Arlene, is the one that I think really will work. But again, it's that same kind of idea of having this huge pack on the back. Less round, sort of more like that.
I don't know if it's visible for Twitch. It's kind of small.
I reckon it works. We can see it there. But I don't know how we put it in, actually. I could probably zoom it in. That's another thing I have to learn. I don't know what Danmachi is, Book God, so please know that I am writing it down now like a good little learner. And I will know. I will learn new IPs to play with, which is fantastic. All right. Anything else about your character, Firefox, that you have thought of or are considering or have played with? Anything else from the chat? Ideas that you might have to throw out there? What about Autumn? Does
I don't think she has any opinions.
no, it doesn't want to add.
No.
Does Tana have a pet?
So if she has a pet, she would have to bring it along with all her adventures, right?
Yeah, she'd have to have it with her. But I mean, with a bag that big, there might be a side pocket, like in a camera bag or something.
What about a rat that has been slightly trained to bring certain items like springs or nails to me?
Partially,
So it has to be a really small item.
a partially trained rat. I'm all on that. And that would be another one that we'd roll a DC to see whether the thing you wanted came back or something else. Book God, how does she traverse mountains or rough terrain? Now, you are a rock gnome, so I imagine that you do have a solution for that might have been engineered and might work sometimes.
So the other thing that, because my character is short and she comes up with stupid things, she can grab things that's a little bit out of her reach with this.
This is gold. Awesome. So there's absolutely going to be something like that. Like top of the bag somewhere that will give you... And again, remind me as we play and we'll find an interesting way to roll to see whether the grapple arm works. The spring-loaded grappler arm. Is there not a tiny crocodile face on it in game?
There is.
Yeah.
I mean, we can keep that. This is just a candy thing I found. It can be there, I guess.
I'm picturing it being with like little steel with little wooden eyes and being sort of like a more ornate thing, but literally still being that crocodile grapple arm.
Okay.
That's gold. Alrighty, so have you finished all of this stuff for now? Or do you still need to go through and add some possessions and set that up?
Good.
Alright, when you're ready, click through till you've got it open. I don't like to be the first person to go to your character sheet for some reason.
I have my character sheet.
Oh, you've done that? Excellent. Okay, good. I'm going to click through them. And just use the player's handbook costs for the things you want to buy.
Yep, okay.
Inventory. And you can still play it there. You just go into manage inventory and then use the player's handbook to throw anything in. If it doesn't show up, just write it in. And we will pretend it's there. Yeah, because I haven't bought every book yet because money and life. All of those things that stop you just buying all of the things all of the time. So there we are. There is another character run. We now have our 5 characters. So we have Tana Twistbonk, inventor, failed vault architect, gnome.
Mm-hmm.
We have the protector. Actually, I'll pull them up here as we go. Because my notes at the moment were just for my brain, not for the screen. So, a lawful good rogue. Absolutely. That is beautiful. VU campaign. There we are. We'll go Elfia. And Remy. Formosus. And Tania. There they are. So we've got Elfia. I can never find where all the little things are. female protector Aasimar monk, who does not know that they are an Aasimar. And Remy,
What's it?
Aasimar is touched by the gods, so the opposite sort of side of the coin to a tiefling, essentially. So
Okay.
glowy yellow eyes, history with celestials rather than demons.
Alright.
We've got Remy Turazol, the variant human fighter, who is really, really strong and has had a little bit of a background in the darker underbelly of his region. Has some sort of mafia type connections to Sedendria, where you were fired from your bank vault. There is Formosus Le Faye, a fuchsia flower coloured tiefling bard, who is convinced that he is a fae, not a tiefling, and everyone just sort of lets him have it because they assume it's part of the bit. And finally, Tania Oblati.
I can't hear anything.
Oh,
I can hear you.
Okay, I can
can-
hear you.
yeah, and I can hear.
Puddles.
Okay,
Yeah.
how about now? Am I back in?
I can't either.
All right,
He is awake.
am I back here? What's going on here?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I'm coming through loud and clear there. Can you hear me now?
My dog's just stealing my dinner.
Okay.
Can everyone else hear all of us, or is it?
Did I just hear something briefly?
We can't hear, but chat can hear.
Okay, so.
It might have muted Discord, but
Oh, that's true. Let's try that.
yeah, I can hear Twitch, so you might have muted Discord.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Yeah, maybe it's the Discord.
All right. Let's play with that. Disconnect. Mute. Unmute. Did that help? Can you hear me now? All right. I blame Discord. So Twitch is a happy audio place, but that will make it difficult everywhere else. So let's play on here. So I imagine you are at a delay when you hear me at the moment. Welcome back, Dinra.
Now it seems our cameras are frozen. Welcome back, Dinra TV.
Yeah.
All right. Talking. I'm just playing with the mic. Yeah, there's something going on with
Yeah,
our
I'm
mic.
not sure.
I think we finished making my character.
Let's check that.
I heard a slight noise then.
Okay, is that any better?
I can hear you now.
What is audio?
My audio interface just packed out for some reason, and Discord just got rid of it.
Yeah, well now
I've been having so much trouble with Discord.
Yeah, I'm more and more thinking that it's Discord's fault. And I wonder whether we're having some patented frames. No, not dropping any frames on OBS.
My video is still frozen on Twitch, it's not on the stream.
Yeah, but you look fine on my Discord.
Yeah, okay,
yeah,
weird.
we're fine on Discord. It's just the Twitch part that's not okay.
I wonder whether Discord and Twitch and D&D Beyond, having a whole lot of panels open on D&D Beyond is a little bit hard on my poor PC. I think there's a possibility.
Yeah, processing power, right?
That's it. All right, well, I'm just going to play with this quickly. Yeah, I wonder if it is. None of my little buttons have gone red. Normally when bad stuff happens and I drop the stream, everything goes red and there's a little line there and I can see it coming. So
do you want me to drop from the call and rejoin and see if that helps my video?
I think it's that, and we might lose you, and that would be terrible, but have a crack. Let's see how it goes. We can always get you in voice. But I'd rather I'd rather have you here to talk about your stuff and be on the video. I think that would be a better way to go.
Sure. Well, yeah, I'll just give this a go and see what happens.
Fantastic. Turn it off and back on again. Thanks, Zanai. Oh, you know what? I think it's that window.
Well, I'm back in, but I don't know if you can see or hear me.
I can see.
We can hear you.
We can hear you, but you didn't disappear according to the OBS.
Okay.
Posture check. Whose posture are we checking? Mine is definitely bad because I'm sharing my seat.
And it's definitely one for me. I slouch terribly, so I'm going to take that on as well. So I'm definitely approving that. There goes on. Those 100 points are going into posture.
What's your posture?
Kitty's posture is unclear at the moment because her
I'm
image
frozen.
to you is frozen. But I can assure you that based on our Discord, it's all good there.
Yeah, I don't know why.
And there we go. I just refreshed it and it fixed it. There we go. It was my end.
Great.
Pretty sure that
Hey.
sounds like my end. There we go. Perfect posture as well.
I had time to fix it, right?
Exactly right. Just a few back cracks. Yes. So it turns out it was my end. So I did something wrong, which I'm pretty sure we can assume it's all my fault because I'm doing the setup and I don't know what I'm doing. But I agree that I'm thinking that maybe we need a solution that isn't Discord for our discussion.
I haven't really tried other ones before, so I'm not sure.
No.
But I'm happy to, especially if it means I can get my better mic and webcam working. That'd be ideal.
Awesome.
We could maybe share a screen of your Discord. Screen share.
I've been having so much other trouble with Discord though. Like I can't actually use it on my computer at the moment. I have to use it through my phone. Yeah, it's really annoying.
And I'm
sorry,
go on.
No, I was just saying like at least I'm sort of visible now.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's not crashing all the time. So
yeah.
It's better.
Your little alien head top looks the same as mine. I've got a new headset since last time, so I'm using an Audio Technica. What are you using? Oh, you've got a little talkie thing on the side. Because I'm good at the technicals of headsets here.
Talk.
A little talkie thing.
Yeah, I don't like it just because it's a bit clunky and I tend to talk with gestures and it's annoying. But my good mic isn't working with my phone, so.
Yeah, I wanted one that had the little alien bits on my head because I was getting a deep sort of mark on my head with my previous headset.
Yeah.
If I have a new headset, why am I still one-sided with my sound? Because it's still just going into the old input. I haven't worked out how to get it to work through the audio interface yet, so I know. So again, the problem belongs here. My fault. I will work on it.
Kmart.
Ooh, shiny.
It was $40.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I got a little Audio Technica that's coming off on my old mic stand.
I really want the cute like glowing headsets with the key ears attached and they like light up different colors.
Oh, I have not seen those. They seem cool.
I think I've seen blue ones, like my friend has blue ones, but you can also get these really cute pink ones that I think would be really cool.
Nice. I can see this is going to be another thing that I do that is literally a hole where I can just pour money. An excuse to never be able to afford to retire. I know. We spent the last week.
Doesn't matter. The world's not gonna be there for a while, so why save for retirement?
Well,
right?
that's it. Maybe I should be buying axes and chainsaws and stuff for the block.
Yes. Prepare for the apocalypse.
100%. Book God. Another 250 coins straight into the build our first quest giver. Keep that stuff coming, chat. I want you to be building the NPC that sends our party out onto the road. I think, though, we're at the stage where Firefox, I think we've got the basis of a character sorted for you. Are you going to stick around and join us in talking through Tania or Kitty's character's little place?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, we're just going to keep playing on that for a little while. How are we going for time? We've still got Nine o'clock is stream bedtime because 9:05 is me bedtime on a Monday on a work night. So we've still got a bit of time there. But if you can see up on screen now, this was the plan that I had for the Stormbreak. Was it Stormbreak? It's written down the bottom.
Yeah, Stormbreak Island or Islands.
The Stormbreak Islands, and so it's sitting in a fairly rough bit of rapids where the water has worn down the softer rock, and these are the harder bits of stone that are still there. And it's a collection of islands. So that was my idea. Unless, of course, and what you have to understand here is anything that I had in my head about it is no longer canon, because we gave this in our first character rolling session to Kitty for her character, because it really fit.
That's a dangerous move.
my idea of it really fit with the character that she was building about... well, just give us a quick run through of that again, Kitty.
Oh, the character, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so she is a cleric of the Grave Domain, and has been brought up in this like temple complex of basically like a death cult, or a death cult, I guess is it. But her sort of job there and her life has all been geared towards helping people who are dying or near death in whatever way, like prepare themselves for dying. So that sometimes would be mentally preparing and emotionally preparing, and sometimes it would be physical preparing. And so she was sort of, her entire life is geared towards this sort of helping people, understanding people, and seeing them at this end of their life stage. And most of her life, because she was donated as a child to this temple to serve, so her whole life essentially has been this, and learning this cult. So the idea of it being an isolated community really appeals, because part of that kind of mindset is that she knows the world only through the eyes of the dying that come to visit this place. And I have a few ideas also about expanding on what we sort of already discussed, but yeah, I think this kind of having an island or a group of islands for this setting is actually perfect for what I had in mind. And I really hope we can kind of develop it a bit as, like, even if we're just throwing ideas out there at this point, I like doing brainstorming sessions about world building and character development. So I am looking forward to having this little kind of island complex to think about and play with.
I'm excited too. Although it has been sitting in the back of my mind is, which little cities in town do I now have to give to all the other characters if they want them as well?
Everyone gets their own.
Well, it's only fair, isn't it? That means I get to do more drawing.
Well, also, I guess it depends on whether they're interested in doing that. I have a particular interest in coming up with ideas like this, and for me it's kind of a fun thing, not like a chore that you have to do before you can play the game.
Yeah,
so
absolutely,
if other people are just like, let's just play, then that's fine as well.
Absolutely. Like it's looking for that opportunity where someone goes, oh, I'd love to do this, and then be able to go, oh, I have just the thing here, have this. So Book God's thrown out.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, Book God's thrown out Wabi Sabi philosophy, so I did have to Google that as well.
Sure.
On the other side.
Yeah, like that's the the broken and the scars and that are part of the whole life of.
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a Zen Buddhism area.
Yeah, and they have like the ceramics that are broken and they're repaired with gold,
yes.
And the gold becomes like a beautiful veins through this fractured ceramic, and it becomes something more by the process of being broken.
Yes, I looked at trying to do that for one of my wife's teacups that I broke. And it's still broken because it's hard. it's even hard to get the stuff and get a way to do it yourself. It's one of those, no, you have to spend your life working that out. Yeah,
I have replicated the look of it through like different oven baked polymer clay. and then painting it to look gold, but not the actual process.
No. Sounds expensive. to trial and error with actual gold filigree and that kind of stuff sounds like it's another expensive way to go. So,
Yeah.
Firefox, what do you reckon about this island? What are your first thoughts, considering now that it is essentially the Death Sect? I do think I have some stuff that I've written that might fit your stuff as well. So, sorry, I'll go back to you, Firefox, but then I just clicked to me something really cool I can show you. So, Firefox, what do you reckon of it? What are your what's your take on that little island? What does it make you feel? What does it make you think about?
The yellow looks like the main city, right?
Yeah, initially
the royalty parts.
Yeah, initially it was going to be, in my mind, it was going to be sort of a city with a clericy, culty background to it, and that's what I was thinking. That's the central quarters there with the little green space in the middle, and the one next to it with the I'm pointing to the wrong screen. I can't point to a screen. That's not how it works here. I can do it with the mouse. That's right. I have to have my online. And this bit here, there's a hill at one end, and that was sort of the I don't know, the walled sort of cloistered area that went up on the hill, which is where the graves were up the hill. But again, that might not be it anymore.
Oh man, I have so many ideas.
All right. I'm gonna throw one at you first, and then I'm gonna sit back and let you go to town.
Oh, it's it's just brainstorming a two-way thing, bouncing ideas is good. But yeah, tell me the setup that you have already.
In my little book of ideas and planning, I had set up for another campaign which sort of doesn't exactly mesh with this, but I'm totally going to steal from a couple of factions and organizations that I was playing with in one of my other worlds. And where is it gone? That keeps the rift. The religious group that I thought was closest to what you're talking about is called Death's Shepherds. And so they are an alliance of clerics following the ascended god Fashir. But again, it doesn't have to stay with that. But members of the shepherds appear when the death rates in a particular area rise. They wander the land trying on the surface to ease the passing of the dying. However, the primary goals of Death's Shepherd is to prepare the dead to meet the balance. The balance is judgments between Saban, in this case, that sorts all souls on this world between Saban and Zanuck. So Saban is essentially an ascended god. Initially was mortal many the time ago's, and when this god arose into the pantheon, because they became the primary god in this place, sort of destabilized the way the natural order of gods worked. And in response came Zanuck. Where they came from, we're not sure. I'm not sure if I'm sure. And Zanuck is the opposite counterpart to Saban. So about entropy and destruction and the different sort of ending. And so while the Death Shepherds were looking at easing passing, they were also constantly questioning and looking at that idea of balance. Where do you fit in this? Do you go this way? Do you go that way? And unlike the way we think of it, where once the deeds you do in life set that might be true partially, but ultimately the Death Shepherds know that there must be. Please do. We'll definitely be doing that. Firefox is talking about your stream. But yeah, that balance by the end must be equal. And so in some places towards the middle, there has to be some hard decisions where, well, look, you haven't done terrible things, but you're on this side of the 50%, so you must go this way.
Yeah. No, I like that. That works really well with my ideas of Nero's role and that preparation for death kind of aspect of it, the cultural and social and very human parts of dying, and the consequences sort of beyond death as well. I think that really works the idea of the balance, and that it's not too late to do something at the end necessarily. Like there are ways and rituals and certain ideas that you can things you can do to make yourself on the right side of the scales, so to speak. I think
Excellent.
that works, especially with her, I guess, having seen a lot of humanity. Or when I say humanity, obviously it's not just humans, but you know, a lot of people at that very end stage where they are trying to make peace with their life and their choices, and having sort of her whole life being this experience of people at that stage. I think the sort of philosophies and the ideas that you're saying with the gods really kind of meshes with that quite well.
I
So I
think
look forward to thinking about that a bit
I
more.
think it's sort of open to being misused as well if you want to play with that. So there are these ideas
Oh
that
yeah, yeah,
like that's something that can definitely be misused. So how it's misused, I haven't
yeah.
thought about yet. But you just look at that and you go, man, that's so fallible.
Sure, sure. It's you know, like you're buying your way into heaven kind of thing too.
Sort of, yeah. Now, what I've said
You
about
know,
the leadership of them was that the head cleric is shrouded in mystery because it just seems appropriate. Um, but there is a Death Lord, someone or other who I won't mention here from now, is said to oversee orders or the orders operation from an isolated. In this case, it was the jungles of Tamala, but they don't yet exist
cool.
in this one. So that will I will make a because I do have another sort of cloister-ish place that is
Yeah,
separate to
cool.
this, which is on
I
high.
like that you've got this I guess the grand big world stuff. Whereas I think a lot of my ideas were much more about this particular I guess the culture that's developed in this particular set of islands around this religion. So not necessarily the big world stuff, but how that has manifest in this particular settlement, and how a place that is dedicated to this particular religion has, I guess, it's been affected by that isolation, but kind of not isolation, if you know what I mean. Like it's pretty
Mhm.
close to the mainland, and I have this idea in my head that it's a place that people kind of you know, like a pilgrimage almost. You know, that people come to this place, and maybe it's like, you know, well known and famous for being the place to go when you're dying.
So it's the place you would seek
So
out to find rest and to find the end of the
yeah,
journey
and I
kind of thing.
like so I have a few ideas about the culture of this particular place, but not, and maybe how it's situated in the greater world, but uh not the bigger gods sort of idea. But everything you've said ties in really well to my vision of the personality types and the nature and the texture and flavor of this religion. So that
Awesome.
works really well.
So Arlene, for you, while we're talking about this, I'm going to keep bringing up these places. Uh, Same kind of thing. If there's anything that catches that your character wants to know about, one of the things we are talking about, of course, is these are level 1 characters. So at the moment, a lot of what we're talking about is potential. There'll be, and so like again for
Yeah,
Kitty, I sort of think of that idea as your experience at level 1 will be this tiny little isolated piece of what turns out to be a
yeah,
much bigger thing. The same is true for you, Firefox. Like as we go through and play with things, what else there do you see that's like, oh, that's fun. I want to have a go at that, or I want to be a part of that. Just
hmm.
keep
Yeah.
playing with that.
Okay.
I think it's a huge part of it is you are what makes your character do and believe the things that they do and believe, and why are they reacting a certain way. Not necessarily like you've had this great life and adventure already because, you know, you're level 1, you're starting out. So I have this idea that, you know, my character hasn't actually done, like, has just fairly recently left this place for whatever reason, which I also have some ideas about. But um, yeah, like I very much, she is a new adventurer, but she has had this rich life. It's just a very narrow, rich life. So um, I think like I'm using these ideas and the setting that she's from to help, I guess, better understand as a character what her reaction to the world would be. Um, but yeah, I like thinking about sort of why people do things and what makes you who you are. So for me, this is kind of part of playing these games. I'm aware that not everyone plays them this way, but it's something I enjoy. So
That's it. I really think that one thing that we're going to be able to do quite well here is play around between those things. Before we go back into it a bit more, I do want to jump into what Firefox just said in the chat, and because I'm conscious that having looked at your stream, Firefox, you got a lot going on. You do some awesome, cool stuff, and I know you have your stream. So if you want to pop off while we're talking about this, while you think about what you want to turn your character into, tell us, how can people see more of what you do?
Okay. I stream a little bit. I just started. I don't do it very much because I'm trying to move out right now, so I'm a bit busy with that. But if you guys want to watch me play games sometime, it's great. Do I put the link in?
Yeah, throw the link in if it'll go, and if it won't go, I will put it in.
Yeah.
Oh no, it looks like it won't let me. I wonder if I can do it then. Firefox.
It should show up on the chat at the side, anyways.
Yeah, I've been pretty harsh with what I let go in the chat because I'm trying to curate a little bit of a community that doesn't do swearing and dropping dodgy things into the chat and those kind of things, because I'm aware how many younger people might be in there. So there might be a few things we can't do, but I can send it through there for you. So that is Arlene's Twitch stream there, Firefox Ice. Pop over for a minute, follow it so you can watch it if you're sitting on there. Get involved. I tend to either be streaming or not at home when you stream so far, Firefox. So I haven't seen a great deal myself, but I do keep.
I don't think I've actually streamed ever since we started talking. I'm not sure. Anyways, if you follow it and I do stream, you'll get a bing, and then yeah.
Absolutely. So get on there, check these things out, and as we go, we'll see how sort of we all build the things that we're playing with, because everybody in this group is doing stuff. That's the great thing. So.
All right. Well, I guess I'll see you guys in, I don't know, next week or 2 weeks. It should be in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. So you're better for every second week in terms of streaming, aren't you, Arlene?
Yes, because every other week I have real life D&D.
Excellent. So this week is normally your free week, isn't it? Perfect. And so I know that Anthony as well has another stream and does things on his other week. So we need to make sure that they set up. Before you go, Arlene, Flurry of Foes has a question there. What's the rationale for Twistbonk's intelligence? Oh, that's Remy. Hey, how are you, Anthony? We were just talking. So Remy says, tell us about that high intelligence. Why'd you put the high stat in intelligence rather than the D1? Dexterity.
I think that maybe I didn't think it through enough. Now that I've decided to go on my character as like a kind of bumbling character who probably got the job with royalty just based on like connections or something, I'm starting to think that maybe intelligence shouldn't have been that high after all.
Okay, you're welcome to change. If you want it to go the other way around, don't feel like you can't. So play with that, and that can come up as we go along.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for pointing it out, Flurry.
Now, while you are there, Flurry, we were just talking about the week that's best to stream. So for Arlene, this week now, so that's the 6th of the 9th, and then the 20th of the 9th, and the 4th of the 10th, and the 18th of the 10th, and so on, are the better weeks for her because she's got her IRL D&D on the other week. Does that go the same way for you?
Are you talking to Kitty?
I was talking to Flurry of Foes. Oh, you're easy either way, so
Sorry.
that's perfect. So
I was just making notes. Sorry.
So yeah. I would say then that the plan will be that this is the week that we play, which would mean next Monday I will have we'll do a pre-stream, I think. So we'll try and get 2 or 3 of the crew together and do a backstory or an idea there. And then on the next week that you're available, Arlene, we'll do the same with you and the people who didn't come to that first one. And if there's other people available, we'll just jump them in to throw some basic NPCs and that kind of thing. And then we have 1 week where I get to do NPC planning with the community and literally get my head around it for the next week, which would be the 4th of the 10th would be our first proper all-in session where we all meet wherever we meet. It's probably going to be a tavern. It's always a tavern.
It's always a tavern. Don't break with tradition.
No, that's it. It's not going to be a tavern. That's like the 5th time I've said it that way now, so I'm going to have to do that. If we ever get shirts, I'm totally putting that in. It's always a tavern. It's not going to be a tavern. So that would mean, what did I say? The 4th of the 10th will be session 1 of session 0, even though it'll be like session 6. The increasingly complexly numbered session 0.
Okay, well, I think I will pop up now.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm super excited. We've now got all of our characters written and sorted, and it's that fun little time where you're like, I really want to be playing, but I've got all of these ideas that I can build and put in the background. So let us know if there's anything else that you think of or that you come up with, if you've got any further questions, and take it easy. Thank you very much for coming and playing.
Yeah, thank you.
Alright. Goodbye, everyone. Nice to meet you, Kitty.
Well, that was awesome. I'm still excited.
Yeah.
Every time I've got to the end of a character, and I've got to say, I reckon Brendo is the most pumped so far in terms of his throws into our chat. But I've got to say, I'm pretty close behind. I'm just like, this is going to be good. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
I hope, chat, you enjoy it too. But again, it's going to be good for me. I will try and remember to... I think what we might need to do is put a channel points thing in the chat, in for the community in the chat that goes, remember that the chat gets to play too, just in case we forget, or just in case I forget to read the chat. Because having Brendo and Arlene and you and everyone else in there looking at the chat and talking to the chat when I forget to, it's pretty good. So you've been note-taking and thinking and ideaing there while we were talking about Arlene's Twitch and letting her head off to the land of Slumberland. What do you got for
and
us?
getting myself a little distracted because that's what I do. Cool. What was I thinking? Yeah, I have a few I guess ideas about the particular settlement here. So I was thinking that all of the islands, the complex there, is all actually kind of part of this religious cult, and that like it still has all the functions of I guess like a village or a town. It has, like a marketplace kind of, like, people that make ceramics, people that blacksmith and all that, but they are actually part of this cult in some way. They're not necessarily like they might be lay people, not necessarily clerics or part of the order per se, but they are like this kind of closed community a little bit, if that makes sense.
Sort of civilian contractors who've gone, okay, I want to do this craft, but I'm going to go and do it with these people and I'm going to become a part of the community.
I think a little bit more involved than that. Like, they are imagine, I guess, like they are still churchgoers, they are still believers, and that they are invested in this culture. It's not like just, this is a cool system. They're just not their role within this church, within this religion, is not of a clerical nature. They're not part of the rituals. They're not part of the like the dogma and the development of ideas and the sort of philosophy behind it. They are performing a function that is a civil function, but they are still, I think, are quite involved in being not fanatics, but they are also dedicating their life to this religion, just in a different way. And I like the idea that maybe I like the idea that it's very old and been developing here for a long time. And I was thinking maybe like there isn't a currency per se, like, and not normal trade. Like maybe goods and services are provided by people, but not for a monetary gain sort of thing. Like the church and temple provides the basic necessities for life, so the food and the housing and all that sort of things, those sorts of things. But in return for that, the people that do the work, like animal rearing, blacksmithing, those sorts of bakers, whatever, they aren't doing it and selling it in a commercial sense. They are doing it as part of their role in the community of this church. So it runs a little differently to the commerce of, say, a city or the rest of the world. I don't know how you feel about that.
Love
but,
it. I'm just looking through my notes and going, okay, this fits, this fits, this fits. But before we do that, Book God, as usual, has thrown in, the idea, a family that might have been there for 4 generations, it's also become a part of their community. So they're still committed to the ideology, but it's of the city as opposed to just the religion.
Exactly. Like it really has bred its own sort of endemic culture as a result of being isolated, but also it being a very closed community almost. I like the idea that they don't, like, the goods and services don't come from outside. They all come from within. So it's rare maybe that they have goods that are not procured or created on these islands. This is to say the general culture. I still think that the higher up within the order in various sort of, I guess, like the hierarchy, the higher up, the more likely you are to have things from the outside world. And there's definitely, I think, a mingling of the various cultures from the outside that come and trickle in through that, but by way of the religion. But the culture that is not specifically tied to the religions and the rituals and the practice. So not the religious sphere of the culture, but the general life culture of this place. So like the equivalent of like a village culture rather than a religious culture. I think they have, in the same way that an isolated village might develop their own weird kind of traditions and weird sort of things that are not necessarily spoken about. They're not necessarily rules that have been followed. They're not direct. They're not directly sort of prescribed by this religion or anyone. It's just they sort of evolve, and through that like long-term, generation after generation, that development of a culture, they sort of, I see it as they've kind of I guess like it could be either skewed weirdly, or it could just be, this is my life, this is village life, it's my place in the world kind of thing.
Nice. And it would be, and I mean, that would again be different for somebody who's walked in there, just walked past and gone, what's this place? Than it would be for a pilgrim, than it would be for you living there.
Yeah, I feel like there's almost a separation of the two. So like a person who is on a pilgrimage here would interact with the religion. There'd be like, the temples and the complexes, like that the world that they would see of this island complex would be the religious sphere. I feel like the sort of background life, the ordinary mundane things that keep this society going wouldn't be seen by outsiders. It's kind of like a behind the scenes thing. And I think a lot of those people that are doing those functions wouldn't really even necessarily know what happens in the temples. They would have their own sort of aspect of the religion and the worship, and there would be that. But I feel like there's kind of a disconnect between the function of this place to the outside world and the interaction with the outside world, that dynamic is very much this great religious pilgrimage site. And the mundane day-to-day functioning and the villagers, let's call them, of this place, the lay people that keep it running, are not necessarily privy to that. That's not their world. So I like the idea that it's not there's no marketplace that pilgrims can come and get supplies or anything like that. They go to, like, I think it's a bit more regulated, and maybe, like, say it's not even a marketplace. It's more like, you have the store person, like a commissariat, like that gives out items, that distributes goods, that decides whose need for whatever is greatest, or for whatever reason, it's not like, I have the money, I'm buying this. It's sort of a closed structure, system a lot more.
Awesome.
And I feel like, so that there's two spheres kind of coexisting. There's the religious site and function, the temples, the priests, the higher up kind of clerical aspect. That's what the world sees. But behind the scenes is a whole other culture and a whole other civilization, in one sense, operating behind that.
Reminds me a lot of the way I felt when my wife and I were in Laos. It was a number of years ago now. We went to a place called Lumpur, which is sort of up in the north, up in the mountains a little bit, and it's very much a Buddhist sort of cloistered space. But people go there to see the monks do the alms. But there's a lot of sort of traveller places where you can lay on bamboo and drink your beer and overlook and go and see it. But there's also this big luxury side of it but you can see that when you go in there, like, we're great to have you, your money is really welcome, you're here to see something though that is very important, and you might think you understand it, but you might not too, so let's just be a little careful here. And it was this really weird quiet vibe that was quiet in one place because there was this really important long-standing religious ceremony going on and life ceremony going on, and then there were all of us running around looking at it but trying not to look too much and be to be in not Kerry, words gone away.
Words are hard.
It was that weird feel of, this fits together, but everybody knows that it doesn't really, and it shouldn't, but it works. So
well, I think it's not necessarily that this is even a facade or a show. It's just that there are two coexisting sort of functions of this place. And I don't think it's like a charade or anything like that. I think it's just that
that's the way it's come together.
The reason that these systems exist is for different purposes. And the place is not a tourist destination. It's not even though I see it as a pilgrimage site, it's far more, people come but don't leave, right? Because they die here. It's not a place you leave, sort of thing. So I think that also shrouds the place in a little bit of mystery in the greater world. I like the idea that it has been a very long time developing here.
Okay.
I actually I have a few ideas about perhaps a pre-existing cult that existed on these islands. Depending on how you let me go with a little bit more of the actual world and terrain aspects. But like there's this kind of pre-existing death cult on the island that has a long time ago, but has been appropriated by this other religion, which, as I'm sure many people are aware, happened with the Romans a lot.
Good way to get the people online is
and then later with Christianity as well. But Bath in England being the site for Minerva, I think is. Anyway, it was an existing. Those hot springs were an existing Celtic site of worship, and it was just kind of like, well, these are great. Let's take this. How do we get these people to stop worshipping this god of their own? Oh, it's okay. We'll just call it something else, and then whenever they're there worshipping, we'll just say they're worshipping us, like our thing instead.
Just a different name for it. Yeah.
Which then this exact same process happened when Christianity took over and went through Britain.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I have yeah.
Playing with that.
I don't know.
Here's some things to think about.
Cool.
All right. First of all, I don't think I've posted this yet, but I've got it there ready to post. Just coming up on the screen now. This is the way the calendar works.
Oh yes, cool.
Because and again, your character won't know this necessarily, but because the realm, although they might, I'm not sure how it works yet, because this realm is separated by some sort of a cosmic shield wall from the rest of the prime material plane. While this world knows of the prime, like the gods that it would be in a normal Faerun, there's a disconnect. It's not that they don't work. It's just that their effect is not as strong because they're separated. But because of this separation as well, we don't have a calendar that follows celestial movement. Because if you look up, no one will notice it, but there are no stars. So the other parties come from the prime material plane, which is a big thing and it isn't natural. But they look up and they're like, wait, where are the stars? Why are there never any stars?
Yeah.
Whereas it's just normal fuel. So I've built a calendar that's less around that and more around the prehistory of the place.
Yeah, cool. Like a cultural,
That's right.
Culturally developed calendar rather than a celestial or geological.
So Ascension's Rise
cool.
is literally a single day, and that whole section of the calendar is a day. Then you've got the dawn. So a week is dawn, strive, zenith, ponder, rest, instead of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then the weeks in the month would be first, second, mid, fourth, and final. So I was just trying not to follow the same, 7-day week thing. I was trying to change it up because we have 7-day week because of the turn of the earth and everything, and that's what got me playing with it. So you've got Sabin's toil, Talan's meat, the ordering of Elstar, the ordering of Ehil, ordering of Deep, Hearth's warmth, Fushier's sun. So there's all these different sections that are season-esh. And then you have renewal, which goes for as long as it needs to go before we move back into it again. So it's also that idea of this celebration that happens at a time at the end of the cycle goes on as long as it needs to go. And so it's not going to be particularly accurate, but there's this, okay, this is when it's going to finish. This is how long it needs to go this year for whatever reason. So there's that. The names of those months actually come from my historical calendar, which I haven't printed up yet, but that's the information. So that's the history that we've got. That goes back about 4,000 years. When you guys jump into the action, it'll be the year on this calendar 891. And so 891 years ago, number one, the reckoning of dates happened. And as we go back from that, elves initially appeared about 3,750 years ago as an exodus from the Feywild. Around 3,500 years, dwarfs first encountered it in the Wayfarers text, which is the elves called themselves when they came to Wayfarers. That's the first time we see dwarves appearing. Whether they were there and didn't make themselves known to them, or whether they also found their way here, we don't know. Then around 3,200 years ago, there was the War of the Lost, which essentially was when humans appeared. And around that time, the elves settled in the west and Aladdin's depths. The dwarves gathered beneath Toland Voldant in some mountains nearby. I'll show them later. And the humans then, around between 3,000 and 2,500 years ago, they found the great city, great realm of Sedendria. So that's how old Sedendria is. And Sedendria is the closest big city that's been established and lived for a long time
Yeah.
to where you are.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot more that's happened since there was a huge calamity, a magic, like an arcane-based explosion and calamity that sort of mirrors the spell plague about 1,000 years ago. After which, some of the history will still have been known, but it would be much less tied down. So there's a lot more legend and mythos in the history. And so while there is a history and there is an objective history, it's not widely known and it's debated except amongst the eldest of the elves. So there's plenty to play with there. The Spellblade calamity happened, and then Saban rose to godhood. So it's only been in the past 1,000 years or 1,800, 1,900 years that the world has been separated from the prime material plane, and that the following of Saban as the prime god and Zanuck rose much later. So it's only been in the last 2,000 years. So before that, there's another 1,800 years that something like this would have gone. Stormbreak Islands, based on what you're saying, is probably much older than Saban, who is the pantheon that you're looking at working with. And it might have actually been Fashir is still the ascended god of death.
Yeah, I think Fashir was the name you gave me when we were first doing the character stuff. I have. I guess this is a side aspect of this, but I don't know how much you know about island formations, like the forming processes and geological, like geomorphology stuff. But I find it very interesting. But I have ideas about how this particular island group may have formed, and how that relates and ties into some of the reasons this particular site has had sort of this development of different death cults, and there's been this idea and link in the sort of human consciousness of this place being a sacred site beyond just the practicality or the fact that it's this nice isolated set of ruins, or not ruins, complexes. It's close, relatively close anyway, to a main settlement on the mainland. But yeah, I have a few ideas about that. I don't know how complex to get into, but in this diagram, the maps you've given, there's kind of all this like underground tunnel network stuff, and I was wondering if you have already existing ideas about what is going on underground.
The purpose for me there was that the different towers on the tops of the hills had ways between the islands to cross that weren't the bridges. So when I initially thought of it as a thing, so under deeper than the river level were pathways, essentially.
Cool, I see.
Book God, just before you go, Kitty. Book God, I've been watching your comments and I love them, but how do they fight off pirates being on the waterways? My idea of this was always that the biggest hill was upstream and there was quite a strong flow of water. So pirates wouldn't be able to get up the river, because they're reasonably wide rivers, but not super, super wide. So it's a collection of islands on rivers and there's quite a strong flow. Again, it has a link to what I was saying in Lao before because of the Mekong and the way it is there. But essentially, the flow of that water would probably preclude most vessels from coming up. So it would have to be days up the land in order to be able to access. So it's fairly solid against attack.
Yeah. Also having possibly being very high and rocky shoreline, so being quite inaccessible and just impractical, very defensible sort of naturally, that I think it's not necessarily an ideal target for pirates or location for pirates. And I have, I feel like it's almost kind of got this inhospitable sort of landscape that has been sort of engineered because of other properties of this place to be a sacred site, not necessarily for its practical natural harbors and things like that.
I would also,
Also,
think... oh, sorry, go on.
sorry, no, you go.
I was also thinking that as a pirate, you've got a good chance that stuff's going to happen that's going to mean you're going to be on the good side of this too. So there's probably been a lot of pirates who've come up with injuries, who've managed or have found the resilience to survive long enough to find their way here themselves. So it might be one of those ones that's also sort of a bit taboo. It's like, no. We're not going to go and raid Stormbreak. One, it's not lucrative enough. And two, like, you got to die one day. You're going to need to be there.
Yeah,
it needs to be there.
Sort of the idea that you don't attack, monasteries and whatever. But
Don't
then you have the, the idea that the Vikings still did that because they were easy targets full of gold with people who didn't fight. But I have this idea that because this place doesn't really run on a normal economy, there's not really a great need for valuable items in the sense of, gold and whatever. I have this idea that also it's just not really an easy ideal target. Like the gain isn't worth the risk.
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
The distance and and the place, like what you would be taking away would be boxes of stuff that has no value outside. Yeah.
I think it's just not really worth the effort. But especially if there are easier targets on the mainland.
And there are lots. There's lots of ways to do it. And the pirates that live, and when I say pirates, it's more seafarers. The pirates is an approximation. Down this inner passage, right on the sea to the south, this Swampmere Strait here, there's mountains around that island, so I don't even actually know what's on that island yet, just that there's the possibility for there to be something. The Lasteel Islands are where our piratical, like if we need to go and have some pirate times, I've got that island set up, and I've got a secret way on to the south of the island, because inside the strait on the north there is a raft settlement, and around the corner, still on that island, is sort of a besieged settlement that's less piratey and more sort of provincial. So if we wanted to go down the route of playing with Spanish Main stuff, we've got those two, which are separate to this. This is probably just to give you a bit of a pirate idea there, Book God. This was the first of these maps that I did, which I love this one. It's one of my favourites. This is the Hope Found Coast. It doesn't actually exist on this place, but it was just literally I played Sid Meier's Pirates. I want I want a New World Caribbean coast. So there's options should we want to go seafaring, and it would probably be there's lots of coastal places that are accessible that are much more lucrative and built for raids than if you look at where we'd have to go. You have to come up through Stormbreak. It's probably a couple of days walk at least against a fairly strong current, because we have two fairly significant rivers coming up from the mountains, most of which come from this side. So there's a little bit of one on the top there, but Lake Gondelmere, or Lake Tassoon, I think it is now, is a fair bit of water that flows through there. Anyway, sorry, Kitty, you were talking about the geological background of this place, which I was interested in because I do have a bit of background in that stuff. It's not my main area, but it's an area I'm interested in.
So, given that this is sort of like it's like, is it sort of like a delta part of the river, like it's where it expands out into ocean?
No, I see it as a place,
or is it more inland?
Yeah, a little bit more inland, sort of a place that opens up into it. So if I bring this one up,
Okay.
See, on that one I have it closer to the water, but in my head, and on the other map, it's more between Lake Tassoon and the inlet, so sort of there.
Yeah, okay.
But if you look at this side, that then doesn't look right.
Okay. Well, yeah, because I guess I was picturing it more like slightly off the coast rather than in a river, so
So
it doesn't really change it that much. But
let's go with this one, which then means that everything I said to Book God before might not be as right. The reason that they wouldn't be hitting it is what Kitty was saying originally.
could
Was that's
could
not
still be rough seas anyway. You know, crashing against the sharp rocks of this place is just such a hazard to ships that
that's it.
you know, and maybe like hidden reef type situation where it's just navigating is a nightmare. So
Yeah, the south coast and the east coast of this place are treacherous, cliffy,
yeah,
and like if you look at the other place that connects to here, which is the high plateau, that is all a huge sort of wall of like a cliff of rock, and Cliff Keep, which is another sort of cloistered place, is where you go down onto the fjordlands there. So that high plateau, this is all high around here. It's not necessarily as high, but it's all cliff-y. There's way in many rocky reefs. There's not a lot of landing sites there.
I just want to also on the note of I'm not sure if I'm misunderstanding what Book God has said there, but the idea that it's sort of a bit of a hostile landscape is not necessarily true once you're within the island. Just the sort of, I guess, like the coastal outer areas. I have also a little bit of an idea for a cool little almost lagoon type situation that's in a sort of contained body of water in the same way that like a lagoon can develop its own species and have that endemic life forms develop in there. I feel like there's a huge potential to have that kind of system in terms of the ecological development and like a microenvironment that this island sort of group has resources that are available to the people that live there, but not necessarily that they export them or have a trade with the outside world. So there's this existence of what they need to survive, but it's not easily accessible to anyone from the outside.
And I think
so. Yeah.
So this is probably the layout I need to reset to, because you've got marshland here, and you've got lakes, and so from Sedendria, there's highlands, there's marshlands. So realistically, your easiest access here would be to go up to Tsundar and travel down the river and find yourself at Stormbreak, and you can only get there if you are then allowed access up. So the only other pilgrimage is to walk across the marshes. So there's options there. Again, choose the bits you want and the ones you don't. I like you were going to say that what Book God was talking about, the Galapagos Islands, and then obviously the Good Knife Club with severe bouncers.
Yeah. That's good. But I also do really hope you allow me to make this a limestone-based island.
Yeah, obvious it's a limestone-based island.
Cool.
100%
Because
we're doing it.
there's like a thing that happens in particularly a lot of the Pacific Islands, a lot of the formation processes, especially ones that aren't like volcanically active sort of areas where there isn't the islands aren't formed through that process of magma coming out of the. Anyway, I'm not going to go into it anyway. But like the idea that some structure has captured parts of sand and debris and biology, and slowly over time this accumulates and slowly becomes this island mass. I really like that idea for the origin of the formation of this. Now the other thing is I just thought of is that I don't know how much you know about shipwrecks in particular, but often when there's a shipwreck, it becomes this like really cool environment that a lot of fish and reef sort of life is drawn to and develops there, and it sort of becomes its own environment attached to a ship that has sunk, and then that kind of builds and builds if it's not culturally sort of maintained and looked after and cleaned or whatever. You get this really cool sort of, in my mind anyway, it's this taking over of a cultural artifact by the natural world. And I really like the idea of something like that being the basis for a long, long, long time ago.
Love it.
How this island formed.
Let's do it. Sounds like fun. That's something that I had some experience with growing up. I grew up in a place in Queensland called Bundaberg. It's where the terrible rum comes from. And I know that we've got quite a lot of really good, because it's inside at the southern end of the Barrier Reef. And so there's a lot of really good shore diving, which means, between 2 and 8 meters, clear, warm waters, tropical, subtropical waters. So that area was used quite a lot, and we scuttled ships there and leave them to specifically develop that as sites for divers and as sites for the marine life that's endemic to the area.
I was also thinking just now about the idea of geological, like deep time sort of stuff, and just because I'm thinking about cultural developments and island formation processes, and you mentioned like this kind of rift, this magical catastrophe sort of that has affected the world and essentially kind of torn it away. I like the idea that maybe in terms of how this place managed to sort of develop geologically is affected by this. Maybe there's maybe like a fragmenting of time or shift of place as well, so that things that shouldn't be as old as they are part of the foundations of this island. Like, how does that even make sense? And things like maybe even like perhaps a long time ago this rift caused time in this little sort of isolated pocket to speed up or something, so that like evolution and geological processes happen much more quickly, and perhaps like it's either a proximity thing, so the closer you get to the source of this, the faster the time, and by the time you're at the surface now where people are actually living on this island, maybe it's normal, like there's no actual effect being causing people to experience any difference now, but like in terms of maybe still existing in the depths of this place that exists, or maybe it's just kind of the effect has faded over time, so it no longer happens. But it's a kind of interesting way of, I think, kind of encapsulating this cultural practice of being generations and generations of a developed culture, also is mirrored by this rapid development of geological processes and like an evolution maybe of some of these species, which is why you get this kind of crazy endemic creatures that live here maybe. I don't know, it's just an idea. Maybe there's also like part of that is tying back into what I was thinking before. Maybe there is part of this is why this is a sacred site. There's been rumors for a long time, perhaps even the association of death with this place is that when people first started coming here or exploring this place, they didn't come away from it not because they were trapped, but because time moved quickly and they died before they could actually get back home, or by the time they left the place, the outside world had changed so much that there was no recognition of them coming back home, sort of thing. So maybe that's why it's a sort of, I guess, those ideas of the actual specific nature of this place ties into how these cultures developed and why this location has that deep history. I like the idea that maybe even the limestone itself has maybe there's like a sped up fossilization process, and some of the earlier human sacrifices and those death cults have humanoid fossils that shouldn't be as old as this limestone is, but maybe like there's actually the people themselves have become the land that now we're existing on, sort of thing. I don't know, I'm just throwing ideas out.
You've connected with a number from one of my other campaigns that I've always wondered how it connects, and this does. So I've added another piece to the beginning of our time that's gone back before that 3,750 years ago, and it's long ago. And it's a rift idea. It won't be in this particular location, but I'll find a link to triangulate it, which I'm just playing with now.
I'm just brainstorming. I just get a little excited, I was just thinking there's a lot that can tie the greater world history and the gods and that sort of magic side, tying that to the cultural ideas that I have for this place, and then tying that to the geological processes and the actual formation of this place itself, having those linked together and affecting each other, like, sort of like a co-development sort of idea where there's influences and everything is tied together and has a I guess an effect on why this place is the way it is. I think that also could tie nicely into the idea of balance as well that you were saying with the gods and that sort of thing.
I'm going to let you riff.
So,
I'm going to let you in the end riff on all of this stuff, but regardless, X number of millennia before this, there will be a specific explained reason for it that can tie into the story, which
reason for
why this place is as special. And so there's all of these things that we look at and go, well, this is obviously how it's happened. But there is also going to be a reason that can come up now in the campaign, which ties to the way that humans and humans were able to get here, which may or may not come up, doesn't need to. And so there are all these explanations which people assume to be correct. And as far as we're concerned, they might stay correct. But the people who are watching and listening now know somewhere in the depths, which I'm sure you'll forget and then suddenly remember, it's not. There's that, and so I've now got another depth direction that if you happen upon the right stuff, the party might at some stage fall into.
I like this. There's also potential for see these underground tunnel sort of stuff that you had drawn evoke like it just kind of fired my imagination a little bit to be like really ancient catacomb type structures as well, but also the idea now, it just occurs to me that maybe the deeper people go even now has like consequences that are both sort of restrict people from wanting to go down there. Like there's stories and whatever of this place, you just it's a sort of forbidden taboo sort of thing to go in there for, and maybe like the myths and stories all say it's about it being a sacred place and the catacombs and the dead and all that, but
well, it might be
and like respect
when you get
but
to
actually there's a physical and very real reason that that you shouldn't go down there as well.
And
that's interesting.
It might be if you get a pilgrim who follows the path well enough that might be where they might choose to open themselves up to it and go down there, and then
I like the idea that I mean, like they're dying anyway, right?
Yeah, so they're going to go down
to this place.
And so those
is like
those who are really opened and have opened themselves to what comes next and where the cycle continues, they go, okay, well, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I go into this place without fear, and it's not expected and it's not needed. But there are those who want to do it.
Yeah, I think maybe there could be little rumors and stories, and maybe in the ancient texts of different religions that are not necessarily followed anymore or not considered canon now. Maybe about like stories about the fact that this area, like the deeper you go, the more spiritually attuned you are to whatever God existed when these stories came. If it's the same, it's the same, but could be a previous God.
Right.
But this idea, I think that that there's a reason that people might, at the end of their life, want to do that. I like that. It's a cool draw.
Awesome.
Also, I just wanted to say to Book God about some of the ideas is, it's cool. Like, I feel like we're kind of on the same page with a lot of those ideas, but yeah, Old versus New Testament sort of thing. And also heretical. That's the word. Sorry, heretical sort of sects and sort of side cults and subcultural developments and ideas. I think are an interesting thing to explore as well. Like, there could also be a group either of the people from this island or even without, like, from beyond, that have this idea that there's like a cult of that are following the old ways and want to get into this place for reasons beyond the existing temple ideas and I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out, but I really like.
Okay, so that'll be the
I
keepers.
like where this is going.
That'll be the Keepers of the Rift, and you probably won't hear that name again unless you really go. We really go down this place later on, because I assume, like, I think what we'll probably do is our first. Oh, that is amazing!
I don't know if you can see that.
This
is just a rough idea of my character. It's very just a rough sketch that I was doing now.
That is awesome.
Yeah, the idea of she's covered in lots of robes that it's actually hard to see her.
Fantastic.
Layers. But anyway, that's not relevant to this discussion. I just thought I'd show it.
It's still cool though. Now we're at about 9:15, so we're probably going to have to wrap up.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I could literally do this all night.
I get very excited by these things, so it's easy for me to get carried away.
I could do this all night, and then my work tomorrow would suffer, and I get paid for that one, so I should probably care about it. So,
how would you increase your rank in your religious order? Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, I think it's partly because this is a magical world. Partly it could be an innate, like, if you have a gift for the magic side of things, you maybe. I have also ideas about how the internal structure of the religious sphere works, regarding exactly that sort of thing, where there are different levels of roles within the cult, and one of them is the natural ability to have to channel magic within a divine sort of sphere, and the other is more about, like, I guess, a learned magic versus not magic per se, but you know what I mean, like various roles and places for people within this cult. Yeah. Okay. I know you've got to go. I'm sorry.
No, I don't
go on.
I don't have to go. It's just that I will be going to sleep before long. But before we finish, I've got a couple of things that I want to throw you away. First of all, just for showing stuff, that idea that you were talking about and those changes we've made now puts, and I'm not, again, this is something we probably won't hear about again, but just for the people who are staying back and who are watching tonight, this is another place. It's come out of a very different book, but that's now our connection point. That in the middle it says Sabile's Anchor, and the atoll is called Dagger Point Atoll.
Nice.
And that will be relevant should that more difficult stuff be found. So that's come out of the other book and is now going into this campaign book in a maybe. So that's now, like, on the back of this main map, wherever it's gone, because I'm map throwing now. To jump backwards a little bit, the leader of this death cult that is shrouded in mystery, if you go there, if that's going to be a thing, this is also going to be a place that is important to the campaign. So just playing around with the stuff that I've created now because it's fun. Where is it? And I've now, on the back of our big map, on the back of, so that you've seen our map of the continent that we're on. I feel that because of that big sort of jump, and it was just like, what if this, what if this, what if this? There, we've got this. One thing you all haven't seen, now I'm not going to make this openly available, I'm just going to give you all a bit of a gander at it now. This is the larger map that Vendelin fits on, and everything we're talking about so far happens here, on that little island my finger's on. So that's where we've seen so far. So, should you all suddenly get an urge to go a little bit further, there's out and now there's depth. So there's stuff I'll have planned, and if you decide to completely forget it, you will find out that there's more out there that I will then have to scramble and write. But be aware, the way I play a campaign is if you leave the really important thing, it's going to continue without you.
Yeah, the world exists beyond your little sphere.
Absolutely. And it definitely does not change based on logic. It changes based on what I think is cool at the moment.
Yeah, it's like what we were saying way back. I can't remember when we had this discussion, but about character deaths not being like I like high risk games. I like investing in my characters, but I also love when there's a very real risk that they will die and I will have to make a new character. I like high risk games, and I like the notion that we aren't necessarily born heroes. We're not special. We are just, for whatever reason, doing this adventure, and it's a dangerous world. So, I like the idea that the world exists beyond what your characters know, and will continue to exist, and there will be consequences for decisions, including character death.
Okay. I love that, and we've talked about that a couple of times, that absolutely I'm going to have to work as a DM to make sure that I balance that right, and we'll decide whether it's right at the time that someone dies. Next week, next Monday, games aren't games without a failure state. They're just walking simulators or movies. Absolutely, there's got to be that failure. There's got to be that chance, and to be honest, it's not a risk if there's not a real. It's not just a chance; it's a real danger. That if you jump off the roof at level 1 into 50 goblins, hoping that Thunderwave will work, if it doesn't, you're probably gonna die. And you have to, because you don't take that leap unless it's the only way, and unless there's a chance of success. But equally, it has to have that chance of failure.
Yeah, definitely. Otherwise, what's the point, right?
Exactly. Anyway, on that note, next Monday, what I'm thinking is, in order to get your character into the place that we need them to be for the first actual session, do you want to go back in time a little bit and have it be something that happens here and the thing that has you leave the Stormbreak Islands? Because I know that was a plan that you would have left.
We can either together sort of, I guess, play through that, or we can have it where you and I know what has happened and why I'm not there, and have that sort of between us, just part of her, I guess, story that she doesn't necessarily present to the world.
Absolutely.
Not secret, but you know what I mean? Like, you just don't tell everyone your life story straight away.
I would
we can
say
either do it that way, or
I would
play
say
it through.
Definitely a one shot, but this would be essentially X number of times ago, and so I would probably bring in another player or two, probably one player in this case rather than two, and looking at our characters, my thoughts at the moment would be that Remy definitely probably fits with Tana's story about being fired from the bank. I want to tie those two together, so when they join the party, there's a reluctant reason why Tana has chased down the people who were involved in her bank being robbed, and somehow comes across Remy not as somebody who was a perpetrator, but somebody who has ties to that group.
Yeah.
So that would be for the week.
Someone useful in the.
Yeah. So that would be the week of the 20th, where I do at least those two.
Cool.
So that would be Remy and Tana. So that leaves next week either you and one other, you and two others. So we've got Brendo and his glamour bard tiefling who thinks he's a fae. And this is the thing that I really love. The glamour bard tiefling who thinks he's a fae, and the protector Asimar who doesn't know they're an Asimar.
Yeah, I like both of those
So what
characters.
So
so
what
far.
we could do is we could bring one of them back and have an interaction with you as a part of you having to leave, or as a catalyst for having to leave. So when you're in the city, you have a pre-existing connection there. You could do it with one, you could do it with both. Alternatively, we could not have them in and have them drop in as we'll choose some NPCs that they can run, and then do a bit at the end where you all meet before the campaign as well. So I'm thinking having another one come in and have a previous link will make it easier for everybody to gel quickly and have us for a reason that we'd want to work together.
Sure, I mean, you've got to have a good narrative reason for you to actually be together. Otherwise, I feel like forcing it sometimes doesn't work well. So it's always good to have a little bit of cohesion and understanding of why all of these characters would work together and why they, are willing to risk their lives for each other.
Absolutely. And so I was thinking, like, if we were to take Sasha's Asimar.
Yeah, I like the idea of the Asimar and my character having something.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by that, I think.
Yeah.
And also, I guess partly that might be that I've played with Sasha before, and I know we've had kind of cool interactions with our characters knowing each other in the past. But equally, I'm happy for that to be something she develops with someone else, and I come in separately.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that maybe we do it because if you remember, Sasha's background is that they were abandoned, and they were abandoned. Let's bring it up. They were abandoned up here, and so.
Hang on one sec. There's a bit of a delay, and I can't see just yet.
Up to the at that crossroad of Mercel Keep, and while I suggested Sasha might have come up to Mercel Keep, it might have been that they couldn't get across on the ferry there, and so she had to come around and made her way out that way for whatever reason. So I would say north of Sundar because obviously at the start we want Sasha's what's the name of the character? Elfin, to have spent some time in Sedendria. But it doesn't have to have been a long time. It has to be long enough to think they've got their head around the city.
Yeah, she was considers herself local, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So I don't think we should have a deep history with each other at all.
No.
Because I think my character very much has had this isolated life. But I think maybe a sort of why we know each other, or how maybe I was drawn into the outside world. Like, she is a local, and she was saying something I recall about being maybe like a considering herself a guide to people within this city, which is either riffing them off or not. Who am I to say? But maybe my lack of experience in the world has made me kind of a little bit like cling to someone who seems to know the world and this worldly way sort of a big city. Maybe there's kind of a draw there as well. Like how we met, not necessarily. I haven't sort of got an idea right now, but maybe like there is a personality and practical reason for our two characters to have a certain interaction.
Yeah.
At least in theory there. Like I can see how that ties together.
Yeah. What you're saying there, it might be better that we have that happen towards the end, and that's when you come to Sedendria. So maybe that means that Brendo's tiefling, because if he thinks he is Fae, there is a specific place up here, the Valley of the Two Rivers, that I have as a spot that has a weak rift for the Fae. Now, again, the characters don't know this because it's fairly new. So he could have had some sort of link there. Now, that's a fair way to the west of Stormbreak. So in order to get to Sedendria, he would have had to come through from the west, which means he's come to the Stormbreak Isles from the other side of the river, which gives him a direct path getting to Sedendria, which means he must have come through the mountains or south from Toland's Pass and down the Telda River. So he might have run into Sundar, and then rather than heading to Sedendria, he might have gone the wrong way around the river, and that's where we could meet him. And there...
sorry. I was just going to mention to Book God about she took pity on you and tried to explain outside society. I think maybe I'd have to obviously talk to Sasha about any of this, but in my head I've got this idea that she had some kind of brush with death or something and was like, holy crap, I've lived my life in this really destructive way and I don't know how to not redeem myself, but I guess, in my head, this is just straight off the top of my head, an idea that maybe she has some kind of interest in the death cult because she's like had a brush with death, and I feel like I need her because I have no idea about the world. I may have an idea about the nature of people, but not in this context. Awesome. Just an idea. So, obviously, these are just me throwing ideas out there. But yeah, I definitely can see our two characters having reason in terms of the personalities and their lifestyle sort of backgrounds. I can see how they have potential to have either intrigued by each other or a need currently for each other.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I reckon then the plan for next Monday should be that we do about an hour and a half going back to when you left Stormbreak Isles, which I think for me probably will fit towards the time when Formosa is heading east towards Sedendria. And then we'll do about an hour and a half later, and we might have Sasha come in and play some NPCs in that part, if she's available for the whole time. And then in the second hour and a half, we'll flash forward to not long before the party meets at the tavern, because it will be a tavern. It's not a tavern. And then that's when we'll have Elfin and I'm trying to start remembering, and Tania meet in Sedendria and have had a near-death experience, having had Elfin be there for a fair bit of time then. And then at that stage, either Formosa can drop back in, or then Brendo can be playing a few other NPCs should they be relevant.
Yeah. Well, I am always keen to be, to even if it's just talking about stuff. If we're not playing, I'm always keen to be here to, I don't know, be a soundboard even.
Awesome. I appreciate that. This is fun. I get the impression we could sit here as we have and just talk about pretend worlds that haven't even started yet.
Yeah.
I
love. It's part of why I like games like D&D.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the things I think we're really lucky with this group, where everybody's got experience in different ways, in different places with character and with story and with DMing and with and those kind of backgrounds. So it'll be fun. All right, so that's what I'll plan. I will talk to Brendo and I will talk to Sasha on our chats, because I've got, as you might imagine, a few different chats going with everyone about their characters. If you're talking to Sasha, do you want to run a few of those ideas by her as well and just see?
Yeah. I'll talk to her as well and see how she feels about it. I mean, I'm totally happy for anything I've said to be completely thrown out.
Yeah.
But I think it could be fun. There's definitely potential there.
Yeah. I'm really glad I'm not streaming on Wednesdays now, because I need to let all of this settle and go, okay, which bits stay and which bits don't make the cut. But again, for me, for these first ones, I'm going to have some general ideas, and I'll talk to you before we go and just get okay, this is where we're at. This is what you think the catalyst is. Yeah. And maybe if you know why you left, or if you don't.
I've got a bit of an idea forming.
And then
I'll also refine a bunch of my notes and send them to you for ideas I have.
excellent. And I'll find some time to actually get some of this stuff uploaded to you as well.
Sweet.
Yeah. And if I don't get on the chat and remind me, because this week is going to be rubbish now. We've got to have the house cleared out and ready for photos in 10 days. And I don't even know where I'm going to do our first stream at the moment. I'm going to have to work out. I think I might have to take the computer apart for the weekend and put it back together and move it back in for weeks until we sell the house. Yeah. So that's going to be... It's doable.
So I had to completely clear my desk just to have space for doing this because it was covered in paint and miniatures and paintbrushes.
Our whole house is just that at the moment without the miniatures. It's just all paint. It's all newly painted, so the fumes are...
Yeah, and all these mugs that I'm painting.
I love them. They're so cool.
Stuff everywhere.
Awesome. All right, so we'll behind the scenes get in touch, and I'll talk to the other players, and we'll make sure that that's a good setup. So Remy and Tana and Formosa probably. So that to me, if everyone's available, would be a good one to do next week. And then, so that's this one. So Remy.
Also, thanks to everyone in chat and watching. But also, particularly, I think Book God has been nicely active. I keep forgetting to actually look at the chat. I'm sorry. I'll try to get better at that.
And I'm watching it and going, I want to talk about that, but we need to do this first. We need to get through this one first.
I know.
And we have to go back.
Or you're halfway through saying something and I'm like, don't interrupt. But then I'm like, but I have this idea.
That's it. And then at the beginning, thank you so much as always to Giggle Fairy for her amazing character ideas. So you've got character ideas.
Is it Hero Forge?
Yes.
Is it through Hero Forge? Oh, and some of the little cartoon things. Yeah, very cool.
That's it. And Zenai jumped in a little bit there as well, and Book God. So and Remy, Flurry of Foes, Anthony that popped in as well. Remember to, and even I loved 98 Miles comment that your special cleric place is like Disney World.
Well, so I guess it depends on how much you like Disney.
Oh, exactly. And again, are we looking at a good god or an evil god? But that's a different conversation.
It's where characters go to die.
And be reborn as abominations of what they once were.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you. As Kitty said, thank you all for your input as always. I love that on a Monday there are some of these names we're starting to see come out with just epic stuff. I fully expect you to stay around so you can join and throw some ideas in for my NPCs. And it will be the people that have stayed with us and been involved who will be getting opportunities there. One of these days, subscription will be a thing, but the people who were here at the beginning throwing cool ideas out are not going to be forgotten. Dead set. You'll be getting in there eventually. So anyway, thank you very much. It's past bedtime. So I am going to say goodnight to you all. Thank you again. Kitty, thank you for coming on. I love sitting here and chatting ideas with you. I just can't wait until we're actually playing the game in it as well and seeing what that turns into. So thank you very much. Make sure you go out and check Firefox's stream. If you see her streaming, go and follow it just in case you'll get that link. And we will see you next Monday for what is likely to be our first pre-session.
Hey.
So roleplay session 1, session 5, session -2, whatever the numbers are at. And a couple of weeks after that, we'll be ready to go. So 4th of the 10th
it still
will be our
counts
first game.
as we're actually playing at that point. I think it still counts as session 1.
I think so. There's, look at numbers. There's
the prelude, right?
Yeah, there's different versions of Infinity, both positive and negative. But remember that date. At the moment, it sounds like a soft open for the first full team stream will be the 4th of the 10th. So until next Monday, if you are somebody who's able to catch up for us on Friday is the next stream now. That Wednesday stream is not going to be happening for a while. So Friday's stream will hopefully be some Sea of Thieves. And then not long after that, we'll be back into it. So thank you again, Kitty. Thank you, everyone else. And on that note, good night. We will see you all soon.